New hairstyle unlocked. It's been almost 9 years of doing this, and I don't think I've ever worn this hairstyle. It's because I don't wear this hairstyle a lot. I can't. It needs to be like this. Welcome back to Everyday's Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Everyday's Movie Ever. Today I'm going to be talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming is a 2017 theatrical release about Peter Parker wanting so desperately to be an Avenger but needing to deal with some stuff a little closer to home, like his crush's dad being a villain. It's directed by Jon Watts, cinematography by Salvatore Totino, editing by Debbie Berman and Dan Lebental, music by Michael Giacchino, and it's written by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, Jon Watts and Christopher Ford, Chris McKenna, and Erik Sommers. The film stars Tom Holland as Peter Parker, Michael Keaton as Adrian Toomes / Vulture, Jacob Batalon as Ned, Marisa Tomei as Aunt May Parker, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Jon Favreau as Happy, Laura Harrier as Liz, and Zendaya as MJ. In November of 2014, there was a hack that revealed Sony and Marvel had been in communication about producing 3 Spider-Man films. And then that, actually, because after the hack and everything, it fell through. But then, in February of 2015, it was announced that they were going to collaborate on a Spider-Man film, and that Spider-Man would appear in Captain America Civil War first. Captain America Civil War was revealed later, but that he would appear in a Marvel film before Spider-Man. Producers for the Amazing Spider-Man duology were going to executive produce this new Spider-Man film and said they didn't want to bring back Andrew Garfield, purely because they wanted to go for a younger, like much younger than Andrew and Tobey. And Dylan O'Brien and Logan Lerman were the frontrunners, which is insane. That's insane. I would have died. Following Age of Ultron, Feige said Peter would be like 15 or 16 and that they were not doing an origin movie because everyone has seen 2 origin for Spider-Man in the last like 15 years. We're not doing it. Everyone knows how it goes at this point. In April of 2015, Nat Wolff, Asa Butterfield, Tom Holland, and Timothée Chalamet and Liam James were under consideration. Holland and Butterfield were the frontrunners. And then Butterfield, Holland, Judah Lewis, Matt Lintz, Charlie Plummer, and Charlie Rowe screen tested with Robert Downey Jr., with Rowe and Holland being the ones that went on to screen test with Robert Downey Jr. again, and then Holland screen tested with Chris Evans, and he was like the favorite at this point. And then in June of 2015, they announced that Tom Holland would be Peter Parker. They loved his dancing and acrobatic background. And then they wanted to juxtapose everything people had seen from Spider-Man and Peter Parker so far, so they didn't want any skyscraper, big swinging moments. They put him on a plane 10,000 feet in the air without any kind of safety net. They put him in suburbs on golf courses where he couldn't use skyscrapers to swing around. They really wanted to keep him grounded. Robert Downey Jr. was paid $10 million to appear in this film, and Feige wanted a really diverse cast because it's Queens, New York, one of the most diverse places in America. Filming began in June of 2016. They filmed all over Georgia. They had a replica ferry built, Staten Island ferry built, that could split and come back together and like take on 40,000 gallons of water, which is crazy. I didn't realize that was real. That's insane. They did reshoots in 2017. There are 2 post-credits. The mid-credits is the potential for Vulture to redeem himself, and the directors and writers were really excited about that because you never know. Like, the way they built the Vulture character, he's really, like, family's really important to him, you know, and the fact that, like, Peter saved him and, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. They're thinking, like, oh, what if he redeems himself by not giving away to Scorpion who Peter Parker is? And then the last post-credit scene actually ended up being a last-minute addition. They had filmed all those like Captain America presidential things, and decided to do that Patience one as like a little joke about you waited all this time just to see this. Writers were giddy with excitement when they came up with the whole Liz's dad was going to be Vulture moment and the reveal, and they really wanted it to be perfect. Like, it wasn't coming completely out of left field, but it wasn't like known. It was still a good twist. And then they were really excited for the scene after where, like, you know, Adrian starts to put together that Peter is Spider-Man. And then 8 VFX companies were involved in doing all the visuals. The film had a $175 million budget, made $880.9 million in the box office. It's got a 92% Rotten Tomatoes consensus. Spider-Man Homecoming does whatever a second reboot can, delivering a colorful, fun adventure that fits snugly in the sprawling MCU without getting bogged down in franchise building. It's obviously followed by Far From Home in 2019, and then No Way Home in 2021. And then in November of 2021, Pascal, I believe with Sony, had said they intended to make 3 more Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland with Marvel. And that they were already working on the 4th one. Obviously, it's 2025 now, and now we know that he is coming back for a 4th one, but we're not so sure he's coming back for a 5th or 6th. So we'll see what happens there. The visuals in this are fantastic. The cinematography is really great. The VFX are really great. One of my favorite visuals, which was actually pointed out to me by Aubrey, I didn't put it together until he pointed it out, which is really great, is in the scene in the car between Adrian, Liz, and Peter when he's driving them to the homecoming dance. And he's saying all these things, asking Peter all these questions, and he's putting together that Peter is Spider-Man. When he finally gets that Peter is Spider-Man, they're at a stoplight, and the stoplight changes to green when he clicks that Peter is Spider-Man. It is such a perfect visual representation, and I have to shout out Aubrey for noticing that that's exactly when that happens and represents that, and that is such good visual storytelling. I'm not over it. The Spider-Man theme inside the Marvel theme right at the beginning was really great. Loved to see that. And then the music throughout is great. It's Michael Giacchino. He really doesn't do anything wrong, does he? What can I say other than that this is built perfectly as it is? First time seeing a Spider-Man this young, so excellent. He really gives that teenager vibe. He's still in high school. He wants to be an Avenger, but, is ignoring some of his responsibilities, but then also not, because he's so trained and a kid, he waits to go save people and fight crime until he gets out of school, and it's the Stark internship, and, all of those things, and the whole high school side of it is built so perfectly, and the twists are built so perfectly, and his, coming of age, okay, wait, maybe I do, not want to bite off more than I can chew realization, and just, it's really built so well. It's got that vibe of, a teen comedy without being, too much of a teen comedy, while also having the vibe of a Marvel superhero movie, and it's perfectly catered to this kind of Spider-Man. I think obviously the 2 biggest twists are when Tony does end up being in the suit later, when Peter's you're not even here. If you cared, you'd be here, and Tony's in the suit and comes out of it and starts talking to him. Already established earlier that he wasn't in the suit and was just monitoring him, that was really perfect. It's a great reveal that Tony's in the suit. And then obviously the big twist of the film, Adrian being Liz's dad. I'll never forget seeing that for the first time and being oh my god, how chilling, how insane. And then that scene where Peter knows that it's him and he is discovering that it's Peter is peak. It is so good. I bet Tom Holland was crapping himself because he's working with Michael freaking Keaton, and just that entire sequence is so excellent, from when he opens the door and Pete sees that it's him, and then through the entire and you can chalk it up to he's just really nervous, and they're awkward going on to this dance, and he's drying all these dishes and it's a knife that he's waving around, and the visual of it. And then in the car he's asking all these questions and Pete's answering very nervous, because he knows, right? And it's such a good sequence. It's what makes this movie probably skyrocket from just a yes, fun superhero Spider-Man who's young to oh, this was a very well written movie. It is so great. And then to give Vulture this backstory where he's trying to make a living for his family, and he would have gone under if he didn't turn to this, and he keeps wanting to provide for his family. He's just going about it the wrong way, but then he starts killing people because he sees no end in sight to helping his family. Is very interesting. It gives you this side of Vulture where you're I don't agree with the methods, but I can understand how he's feeling, you know what I mean? So it's very interesting. He's a very interesting villain then as well. And the movie is just like, it really accomplishes that well, at the same time having all these like funny teen moments where he's like telling his suit AI about his crush and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think it's really well done. I think the Captain America add-in of like all those little videos make it very high school. I think there's a lot of moments in the high school that feel very like genuinely high school, when like, you know, I keep calling him Jacob, when Ned is hiding and the kids playing chess are like, what are you doing? Like, that's so real. When Liz is like, stop grilling him, Dad, on the phone, that's so real. And then there's like real Queens interactions too, like at the beginning when she's like, are you that Spider-Man guy on YouTube? And he's like, yeah. She's like, do a flip. And he does the flip. Like, that's so real. Like, they did a lot of really great, like, authentic feeling moments. The bodega, just like all of it. It's really well done. I think that's why this movie like soars, and why the next two also then continue on. So, talk about a stacked cast. Michael Keaton, Robert Downey Jr., Marisa Tomei, Jon Favreau, Tom Holland now, but that's what put him on the map, Zendaya, Donald Glover. Like, there's so many like top tier people in this, and they all do a fantastic job and elevate the movie 1,000,000%. My favorite part would definitely be like the vulture reveal and that whole sequence in the car. It is just top cinema in my opinion. Like, it's so good. Least favorite part, this is stupid, but it's the part right before he lifts all the concrete, when he looks and sees his reflection in the dripping, like in the water puddle that's forming, and it's half the Spider-Man and half him. It immediately made me go, it's no good at all to see yourself and not recognize your face. It took me all the way out of it. It gave me Bet on It from High School Musical 2 vibes, which is silly because there are so many movies that have people look in a reflection of water. But the fact that it was like half the mask, half the, I get the symbolism and everything, but that was like, it just took me, I was like, Bet on it. Like, you know, so that's probably like my least favorite part. And if that's my least favorite part, that's freaking saying something. So watch again, of course. Spider-Man's my second favorite hero after Superman, so like, of course. And then recommend, absolutely. I mean, it's great. It's a really good movie. Yeah, I have nothing else. Tom looks like a baby, which is hard to believe because he just has a young face. You know, like even now, like everyone says he looks the same. I don't think he looks the same. I think he looks a lot more like built. Like, I know in the second movie he put on a lot more muscle, and he said he regretted that. He thinks Spider-Man should be like a little bit more like slim and lean and agile, and like calisthenic instead of like bulky. And so I think for the third movie he slimmed back down because he was like, it was too much muscle. But in this he looks like a baby. He looks very young. So I definitely see it. But that's everything I got. So my final rating is going to be 8. What should I do? He's got a lot of things going on. I could be 8 backpacks. 8. I could do 8 glowy things. The alien thingy. Maybe I'll try to do that. 8 alien glowy pod things, which I won't be able to find probably. So yeah. Parental and cry count are still the same. They don't talk about anyone, you know. So yeah. If you want to keep up with what movie I'm watching with, follow me on all socials. Find out movie I'm watching. Did I do total movie count? I don't think I did total movie count. Did I? 8 thingies out of 10 are total movie count is. Parental and cry count are still the same. If you want to keep up with what movie I'm watching with, follow me on all socials. Find out what movie I'm watching when. I put up videos every Monday, Friday, and sometimes Wednesday. Join Patreon. I got tiers starting at just $1. Get every video a week early. Tiers with that daily trivia, monthly postcards, bonus content, name and description of every video, free merch, etc. Buy merch. Merch is great, merch is grand. Until next time, come like, subscribe, if you're not in charge of your life. You are, so do you, and don't be vulture about it. Out on my own, it's such a scary place. Ooh, the answers are all inside of me. All I gotta do is believe. I'm not gonna stop I'm not gonna stop till I get my shot. That's who I am, that is my plan. We'll end up on top, you can bet on it, bet on it, bet on it, bet all you can.